Hello friends and enemies, welcome to, or back to, Happy for Now. It's me, Isabel, here with your Romancelandia Monthly, where I recap the happenings in the romance space. Not all of them. There's sometimes too much. From the last month. So, there's that. There's that. Oh boy, what a month, huh? I cannot believe the month August was. I just didn't expect it, but I should have known. I feel like we're ramping up to Into Your Chaos, and here we are. All right, let's dive in. We're gonna have some things that I'm just like, huh? And some things that are really serious. So I will give you content warnings ahead of time when we get to some of the more serious topics. As always, I will have timestamps down below if you want to hop around and you're only here for one specific topic. But first up, let's talk about one thing that, like, when I saw this, I was like, do people love this series that much? Is it that popular? Is that that's a thing people will spend their money on? Because whoo, listen, and there's no judgment if you want to spend your money on this. I do need to note that I do not care. I just was like taken aback because I don't know that I would spend my money on. I don't know that there's a series that I love enough that I would spend that much on. So let's talk about it. What am I talking about? Rena Kent is releasing a luxury box set for her Legacy of God series for $499. I don't even know if that includes free shipping or not. I hope it does. Which, like, that's probably $30+ of the cost. Like, shipping, like, honestly, probably more than that, because it's a like, that's hefty. This is 6 books. That's 6 books in a special luxury edition. It does include a lot of extras, letters from the characters, art, all these things. It is limited, obviously, also, it seems. But that's like $83. 83 US dollars per book. I just, like, I know Rena Kent's, like, having a moment on TikTok. Like, I feel like she's pretty popular. I have not read Rena Kent yet. Should I? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But I have just never seen a box set from a romance author this expensive. I'm impressed. Like, listen, if people are that in love with the series and willing to pay it, like, I'm happy for them. I'm happy you're getting this. But I am mind-boggled at the price a little bit. So yeah, I want to know if you are a fan of the series, how do you feel about this? And if you aren't, like, what book series would you buy at a set like this, like that expensive? Like I said, I'm not judging anyone for deciding to purchase this or how they feel about it. I'm just, like, shocked. I just didn't know there was such a market for this for this book series. So there's that. Next up, I just wanted to note for my US people, at least I know for sure, I do know this is not available in Canada. But the Red Tower Publishing has added like 6 of their most recent books to KU. And I find that fascinating because I feel like a lot of those books are in the mid KU quality tier of reading. And that's, like, not a bad thing. But, like, I don't know. I just wonder, of course Fourth Wing was not added, but I just wonder, like, you know, like, it's interesting. What's happening here is very interesting to me. So I'm just... Have you read any of these? I have not. Honestly, I don't really read Red Tower anymore because I feel like I've just been burned every time. So there's that. Another fun one that I really am very curious to see y'all's opinions on is there was an announcement from Illumicrate about a YA fairy trilogy by Elizabeth May called Falconer. I read this back in the day, and when I originally read this, I thought it was adult, and it's not adult. It was YA. But the author is reworking the title to be an adult romantasy title, and Illumicrate is the first to be publishing the new reworked series. So the series is complete. This isn't like a Samantha Shannon Bone season situation where the series, I believe, is incomplete and the early books are being reworked, which I find interesting. I don't know how I feel about aging up a series, though, to fit into a current trend, like, of romantasy, which is, like, not a trend. Romantasy has always been a thing, but it's more popular than it's been. So, like, kind of a trend, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's just really interesting that it's happening. This is definitely the first I've seen of this happening. Obviously, there's been discussions before by authors of, like, publishing houses telling them to age up or down a book series, things like that. I get that. We've not had, like, a completed series now reworked to be adult or reworked to be YA before that I'm aware of. Thoughts and opinions, of course, in the comments. Okay. We're kind of speedrunning some of these first ones because it just gets longer and longer as we go. I think in the most wild and new take we've ever had, that of course came from book threads, because book threads, I firmly believe that, like, Twitter used to be the place of hell, but I do think book threads might be the new hell in the bookish social media internet, because I swear I open that app and I close it because I always see some take that is just so ludicrously off the wall. Like, what are you talking about? And boy, did we have one of those this month. So I'm not going to share the author's name because they've, like, apologized, which I think their apology was, like, a big but whatever. Because of that, I just don't want to like add on to the like the distaste they've gotten from readers, but I do want to share the newest take we've ever had, because I have never seen this take before, and it is, you should not resell books you buy from indie authors because you're profiting off of them. But like, so instead, you need to put the book in a little free library, leave it at a coffee shop or somewhere else where another person can just get it for free. Beyond like the for sale doctrine stuff that exists, who's really making a profit reselling a general like normal edition of a book? Is anyone, like truly, is anyone actually making a profit doing that? I don't think so. I think they're making profits selling special editions. Yes, absolutely. But selling just like an Amazon KDP printed book? No. Anyways, the author then gave this like really bleh apology, literally, and was like, I've taken my lumps. Please don't be mean to me. But I just was like, don't be mean to you, but like you're out here mad at people for daring to resell a book that wasn't possibly even your book. Like you're just like, imagine being an indie author and seeing your book for sale used by someone. And I was like, and like, shouldn't you just be happy your book might be getting into the hands of someone else who wanted to read it and then they're going to buy more of your work? I don't know. That's just my marketing brain talking, but you know, interesting to say the least. Again, this is a first. This is the first take I've ever seen like this, so I was just like, are we good over here? And then I was like, I have to leave book Threads right now, immediately. Threads is the bad place, so confirmed again, yet again. This is a big content warning here. We are gonna discuss domestic violence and the book It Ends With Us. If these are things that are triggering to you, I would go ahead and skip ahead to the next section. This I know is the part that a lot of you are here for. You want to know what's happening, what happened, and boy, is this about to be like a large portion of this video. Yeah, it is. I have made a condensed rundown of this. I am going to caveat this by one, I'm not a Colleen Hoover fan, really. I didn't like this book when I read it, and I think this book in general has some problematic things about it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't read it or it shouldn't be like out there, but I think need to be forewarned before you adventure down the path of reading this. So let's know that. Obviously, like prior It Ends With Us drama has been things like the coloring book that got canceled within about 24 hours of being announced. Because what were we going to color about a book about domestic violence? I don't know. So It Ends With Us. It did have its theatrical release this month, and it has just been chaos. I feel like I have not been able to open a social media platform without just seeing a new thing about this movie for like a week plus. So I'm going to give you my very bare bones breakdown with as minimal like of my opinions as I can, and then we'll talk about it. So Justin Baldoni initially got the rights to It Ends With Us and was set to direct and star in the movie as Ryle, our hero who is abusive. Then Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni obviously are in this movie. It kept getting put on hold because of the writer's strike, things like that. And it seems like they were having conflicting feelings about the movie and how it should be presented and marketed, to the point at which they both had different cuts of the movie. So I guess Blake Lively did a cut and Justin did a cut of the movie, which I find really interesting. Apparently the Blake Lively cut was shown at Book Bonanza, and that was also the same as the cut shown in theaters now. So like, what's Justin's cut of the movie? Like, I'm just confused at this point. As the movie was premiering and the press tour was happening, the entire cast had basically unfollowed Justin on social media. The press tour was weird because basically you'd have pictures of the whole cast but no Justin, not to be seen. He was just kind of always on his own, and Blake was with all the other cast members and Colleen Hoover. And then there was just kind of weird like drips of like things are off, things are funny behind the scenes, and I was like, this is just like a ploy for marketing, I don't know. But then like PR stuff started getting spun up around this, and one of which included the fact that Blake Lively said she felt fat shamed by Justin. And I find this part kind of funny because I just think it makes her sound ridiculous. Like, yes, she just had a baby and stuff, but he literally just wanted to know how much she weighed because there's a scene where he picks her up and he wanted to make sure he could do that safely without hurting his back. That to me is not like fat shaming. Personally, like as a heavier person, like I would just be like, yeah, of course. Like that's just common sense. Like, let's not injure ourselves trying to pick somebody up. I just think that's a reasonable ask. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just was like, wow. Then some other little like snippets came out. Supposedly, potentially, we have no for sure confirmation, Ryan Reynolds may have worked on the script during the writer's strike. So that's interesting. And then towards the end here, as all of this was unfolding, Justin Baldoni did hire the PR agent or agency. I didn't dig that deep into this, to be honest with you, because I just, whatever, that Johnny Depp had during the Amber Heard trial, which set a lot of people off. But I need to note, like, you know, sometimes you just get referred to a place and you just go there and maybe you don't realize it's them. Very possible. I don't know. Some people think that's an admission of him being guilty of something. I think it's just, hey, maybe this crisis PR management firm might be good for you right now. And he just went with it. I don't know. That's my hot take on that, because I just feel like sometimes we don't know things that we don't know, and you know, that happens. The things for me personally while watching all of this unfold that have like completely stuck out is the juxtaposition of how Justin and Blake have talked about this movie, because Justin has like discussed like wanting to show why someone would stay with an abuser, you know, a little bit more of the insides of like the abuser's mind some, I think, like the narcissism and some of that stuff. And on top of that, like sharing things to like, here's where to go if you need help, here's numbers to call, all these things like resources, right? Which I think is very important with a movie like this. And then Blake Lively's like, wear your florals, get your girls, and have a movie night. And I'm just like, the idea of seeing this movie makes my skin crawl personally. I may watch it when it hits streaming, because like I could pause it and walk away if I need to, but I have seen nothing but reports about people seeing this movie and feeling like incredibly anxious during it and disappointed because they were so anxious because they didn't know like a major entire plot of the whole freaking thing is abuse and domestic violence, and someone who does stay, and someone who has to like eventually get out. And y'all, what are we doing marketing this movie? It really frustrates me to see something like this marketed so badly without the proper like heads up to people, because again, I think marketing like wear your florals and get your girls like it's the Barbie movie when this is not the Barbie movie is alarming. I would love to know what y'all think, because like I'm very torn on if I feel like this is manufactured or real. I do think there is a real issue here between Blake and Justin and CoHo and all of them. Like I think there's something going on. I don't know if we'll ever know what that something is. Do you feel like this is like manufactured to create more buzz for the movie? Do you think it's real? I think like I'm with the people who are like they wanted to do like a Barbenheimer with Deadpool, Wolverine, and It Ends With Us. I just don't think that works. Like, I feel like Deadpool was fun. I've seen it. It Ends With Us, I have no interest in, and I think, like, it's so... I mean, Oppenheimer is really sad, too. I feel like I've also not watched that. It's 3 hours. I'm not sitting through a movie that long. But yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, all of this to me is, like, the cherry on top of the weirdness that I feel like Colleen Hoover is as a human, and, like, where she sits in my mind as an author and a person. It all just, like, cements that down heavily. But yeah, I would love to know y'all's take, because I just feel very like unsurprised. I think I've been in the bookish space for so long, and I've seen Colleen Hoover's repeated rises to popularity with each new bookish space, that I'm like, why are we still here? What is in her books that keeps bringing people back? And I don't know. I'm happy if she made you read again as an adult, but I hope you move forward and find so many things that are much more amazing. Our other negative thing, and then last I will have a like happy roundup. So let's talk about the other situation. So as we discuss the situation, there's a couple of things we need to know going into this. This publisher is under an active boycott right now, an active marketing boycott. So we're going to take that into consideration as we discuss what happened and the issues with what happened, and like why it kind of mirrors a lot of the concerns the boycott had. So there's that. And because of like, even though there's the boycott, I normally would just skip this discussion, but I don't think I can, because I think it was too big to skip, if that makes sense. So I do feel like we have to have the discussion. So to set the ground rules, I'm not going to talk about what book it is specifically. You can go find that, I'm sure, if you try for 2 seconds on Google or TikTok or Threads or anywhere. Like, I'm pretty sure you can find the book. I even think there's a like article about it. So like you can find the book name, okay? I'm not going to share it here, and you're not going to share it in the comments. Please and thank you. So what happened with the St. Martin's Press book box that got sent out? So basically, when you are in the bookish space, you sometimes end up on lists for PR boxes. And sometimes those are unsolicited boxes with books in them or other things in them. I personally don't get anything unsolicited, but I also am very, very selective on what I request and where and when I get physical books, right? You can still pretty easily end up on some of these lists. So I will say that. Like, I'm rarely getting unsolicited things. And when I do, it's from somebody I know. In publishing, so like that's different. I don't consider that unsolicited. But yeah, so this PR box was sent out, and it is unknown the consent given to those who received this PR box, because inside the box was a discreet personal massager or a vibrator. If you're nasty, not really, because like there's nothing wrong with these things. Lube, honey, and like perfume, I believe. So it was all things for sensory and engaging your different senses. And then the book, obviously. Now, I do think this box fits the book, because what I know about the book, it has a lot of boning in it, which is something I feel like we don't get from a lot of traditionally published books. So I was like, interesting. That's a surprise. And I think what mostly brought this to the attention of people is that someone opened this box with their mom right there. And now I'm somebody who's taken my mom and gone to things like Steamy Lit with my mom, in which like the first year we got personal massagers. It's fine. Like, it just depends on your parent, right? Like, I obviously have a very chill parent, but not everyone does. And this person and her mom had a good laugh about it. So it's fine. But this is where like the concerns started. And again, I think there's a lot of things to take into consideration here. How you feel about it isn't how everyone else is going to feel about it. I think you have to kind of think about this from like the perspective of like also laws and things in states. So there's also that element. Anyways, the concerns became, was anyone informed ahead of time about the box coming? Like, was it fully unsolicited? Were they forewarned about the contents, able to opt in or out of receiving that item? And basically what I gathered is there was nothing besides maybe confirming the recipients were all 18 and over. So that's that. And I think like obviously confirming age is important here, don't get me wrong, but I do think also we have to take into consideration that in some states, technically you could get in legal trouble for receiving this through the mail. And I'm not joking. Like, there are states that it is illegal. There are states that try to not allow the sale of any of these items. And that's not saying these things don't get sold or shipped there still. But I am saying that if somebody had it out for you and you lived in one of those states, that they couldn't attempt some kind of prosecution, right? And like that's one of the big concerns that happened when this started happening. The next thing is like, without knowing it's coming ahead of time, and maybe you are in a living situation where getting that is going to cause issues, or you need to hide it, or things like that, not knowing ahead of time is not helpful. Or what if, like, again, someone who opens your mail, things like that. I saw arguments made like, well, you read romance books and talk about them online enough to get sent this. Sure, but like a lot of books have discrete covers now. And I don't think that like you're not wrong that there's some correlation between probably people who have issues with this and people who would also consider all romance to be porn when it is not porn. I don't think there's an incorrect correlation there, but that's still like a correlation. We cannot, you know, like it just happens. I also think it's important to remember everyone's relationship to sex and sexuality and personal massagers and things like that is very different. And while you or I may not have a problem with them, a lot of people have various traumas around sex, religion, cultural things around these devices and what is and isn't okay. Okay. Like I mean, you just look at purity culture within Christianity. Like that is strong. And the idea of like allowing something else into the bedroom, or, you know, even a tampon being wrong because it's inserted into you, you know, like that is a thing that exists. So people have to work through that, and everybody's at their own journey for those things. I also think like some people like, just throw it away if you don't want it, but like it has a built-in battery. Technically, you're not just supposed to throw it away if you don't want it. So there's that too. For me, the way I left this situation personally is that I feel like not asking ahead of time is just really inappropriate from a big 5 publisher. I do know indie book boxes often have penis-shaped things, perhaps different devices, and that's fair. Like, but I do think there's a different expectation from a big 5 publisher versus an indie author who sends out PR boxes of items. And I do feel like even if there was not an active boycott against this publisher, I would still be a little bit baffled at the sending of this item without any consent ahead of time, because it just feels weird. If nothing else, it reiterates readers for accountability's concerns around their safety of people's information with St. Martin's Press. So that's where we sit right now. I will link to their SMP statement and Readers for Accountability's statement down below for y'all, so you can go learn more about everything going on. That's all I'm going to say about this. I do not want to have like arguments in the comments about this topic either, because at the end of the day, these devices are such a personal choice that, again, I just think it's a little bit weird to get sent it like that when you're not just given a heads up. Hey, are you okay with this? That's it. Like, it's a very simple consent thing. Are you okay getting this in the mail or not? So there's that. Okay, are we ready for good news? I'm ready for good news. This is the good news roundup. I'm gonna try and do these more often, but we had quite a bit this month and I'm happy about it. So first up, Talia Hibbert announced her next book and I'm so excited. I was thinking about her the other day, like, oh my goodness, where's Talia? She needs a new book. I need a new book from Talia Hibbert. Well, I got my wish, because in 2026, the summer of 2026, we have a enemies to lovers, a Beauty and the Beast inspired romantasy set in England after a civil war, and they're enemies to lovers. They have to tie themselves together to save the world. Yes, please. Here for it. Thank you. I'm so excited. Then we got more Kennedy Ryan executive producing news, because she is going to be an executive producer for the book Riffs and Refrains adaptation over at Universal, who is also adapting her Skyland series, which is Before I Let Go, those books. So yeah, I think that's really exciting. I'm curious to see. This is a book I saw came out and I was like, do I want to read this? And I still don't know if it's up. I'm real picky about my musician books, but I love the cover and I think it's really exciting to see. We have casting for people we met on vacation. So we have Tom Blythe and Emily Bade to star as our main characters and people we meet on vacation for Netflix. I don't know. I thought that was kind of intriguing. Gillian Anderson has released an edited collection of erotic fantasies, and I just thought that was kind of neat. I will definitely probably be picking this collection up at some point to read. I just think it sounds really fun and different. So that is everything. I asked you a lot of questions during this Romancelandia, I feel like, so feel free to answer them down below. If you don't want to answer any of those, my question is, with all the book adaptations we're getting right now, I want to know what book you really want to see adapted. I don't have a ton I feel strongly about. I would really love to see any of Beverly Jenkins' historicals adapted, or I think like the Kiss Quotient would make a great rom-com, honestly. I don't know. Just, I'm like also the person who's like, don't adapt anything. Never touch my things. Please and thank you. So there's that. If you don't do any of that, you can leave me a film camera or camera filming type related thing down below in the comments, because I feel like we had a couple adaptions in there. Why not? Let me know your thoughts on everything this month. Let me know if you feel like I missed anything, and who knows, maybe it'll make into the next round, or I eventually might do a cut for time thing, because sometimes I do have to cut stuff out because my goodness, some months are bonkers. So yeah, that's it for this month's Romancelandia. You can leave all that in the comments. I will have links to join my membership down below, either on Patreon or YouTube. If you join at the Romancelandia supporter level, you do get access to this video every month early, and a bunch of other fun perks like my Discord. And you don't have to do that though. This stuff's still going to be here for free. Your choice. And if you don't do any of that, obviously links to everything I talked about that I can link to, and links to my friend anywhere and everywhere I am on the internet. Okay, I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away.